Welcome to the Tug of More.
We hope that you like our plants. If you are watching on YouTube, you see we've added some decor behind us.
I thought about this last time you did. We made it through the whole episode without you pointing it out. I thought, I'm surprised you didn't tell our friends.
Well,
look at all we have accomplished.
I grew up in a church that had a bunch of plastic plants on the stage.
Yes.
And we fought to get them off. But now they're a whole...
They're a vibe.
They're a vibe. And so we've got some...
So our team... said you need
Wait,
more.
Are they plastic or are they real?
No, they're plastic.
Oh, okay.
We ain't trying to have to come here and water them every day.
Guys, welcome to the Tug of More.
That's
it's just a
right.
conversation between two friends that are talking about where we are, but even more important, where we want to be.
That's right.
And that's a hard one because you want to get to where you're trying to go, but then you are where you're at. And in the middle of that is tension.
There's a fight. There's a struggle. Yes, attention is the word that we feel most of all. To be pulled into more and to say, okay, I'm going to get there. No matter what happens, no matter what I'm faced with, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep fighting for it. And so we talk about all kinds of things here to help us and all our friends step into more.
Yeah, and we're pastors, so that's our leadership context.
That's right.
We be loving Jesus around here at the Tug of More.
We sure do.
And dude, it's tough. It's tough to want to be farther along than you are.
What's that phrase? I'm not where I used to be. I'm better, but I'm better than. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm better than I was. There it is.
Do you know where we are right now? We're in a season of preparation.
Yes.
What if you're not where you want to be? What if you're not where you want to be because you're in a season getting prepared for where God wants you to go?
Right.
That's frustrating.
It's frustrating.
Because you're like, no, I'm good, God. Look how great I am. I'm doing everything right. And he's up in heaven like, oh, come on, buddy.
Yeah.
You still got 89 things that I've been telling you to work on.
Right.
I need to work out of you.
I think sometimes the preparation is hard because I can look back to where I used to be and see how much progress I've made. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, but why does it feel like in this last season, 6 months, year, depends on what that season looks like, I haven't made as much progress in this season as I feel like I did back in that season. But the preparation sometimes causes you to stay still for a minute and get ready. And so I'm excited.
That preparation season is tough. Rachel and I just celebrated our 16-year wedding anniversary. And so that's good. She's stuck with me for 16 years.
That's right.
And so I took her to a new steakhouse that opened in Mansfield.
Yep.
Meehan's Steakhouse. It's expensive as a mug.
But it was worth it?
It was incredible.
Yeah. You're not just paying for the steak. You're paying for the whole experience.
I got to sneeze.
Uh-oh, bless you. Sometimes if you say bless you, it doesn't work. Then you don't
sneeze is too powerful.
So it's not just the meat, it's the full experience.
It's the full experience.
The ambiance and the entertainment.
Yeah, but the food was great.
Was it good? Good.
And so I ordered a steak, just how I like it, just what I want it to be. And dude, it was so good. Cut it with a spoon, sirloin.
Right?
Sirloin? No, filet.
Which kind? Filet mignon?
Filet.
Rachel's big filet mignon.
And so, but do you know what I ate the day before?
What?
We had a babysitter. No, somebody, Amarisa. They were going on a date night. Shout out to Amarisa. They were going on a date night, and babysitter fell through.
Yeah.
And so they asked if we would babysit.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel was coming up to church to do a women's event. So guess who that meant?
So you were the babysitter.
So I was the babysitter of my kids,
of your own kids,
which is actually parenting.
Yeah, which is
but then we
parenting.
gained their daughter, her and Lillian are homeboy.
Which sometimes can actually be better.
Oh, yeah. I basically did nothing. They all took care of themselves.
Yeah, okay.
But I said, yes, we'll do it. But the agreement is you have to bring dinner for all the children.
This is what you said.
Yes, if you want me to babysit. If you want me to babysit.
Extraordinaire.
You have to bring dinner for all the children. And so they went to Wendy's.
Okay.
And they picked up Wendy's. Now.
If you did not get a Frosty and fries, I'm going to be so mad.
I did not. I did not get a Frosty and fries. But I did get half a hamburger because Lillian didn't eat all hers.
Okay, that
So
works.
Here's where I'm going. The night before, I had eaten a Wendy's hamburger.
Yes. Meh.
Good. I'm saying Wendy's is beating a handful of...
Yeah. It's way better than Burger King.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They're beating a handful of fast food restaurants. But then the next night, I'm at Meehan's.
What a swing.
Eating a incredible steak.
Cuttable
do you know the only difference?
What?
Preparation.
Oh, see what you did there.
The only difference is that at Wendy's, you drive through a drive-through. Mm-hmm. You say, I want a number 3 Frosty. And you pull around and some teenager cooked it 45 seconds ago.
From a frozen place.
So there's very little preparation. But then I go to the steakhouse and I get a 65-day aged
Okay.
Fat marbled, soaked in
Butter,
all the spices,
prepared.
all the things.
Yeah.
Is slow cooked, all the preparation.
Yeah.
And so maybe you're mad. This is what God's speaking to me.
Right.
Trustin, you're mad about where you aren't, but you're just being seasoned. You're just being prepared. I just have had you in the prep room soaking in spices, right, so that you are flavorful and prepared, because I don't want you to just be McDonald's.
Right.
He's made me to be fine beef.
Yeah. You are fine beef.
Nope.
It's ridiculous.
That's what I would prefer to be.
Right.
I don't want to just be some 80-20 ground beef.
No, right. Well,
and so when you're mad about how fast it's going, you're just in a season of preparation.
Yeah. It's also the value. I mean, that Wendy's cheeseburger costs like $3 probably. I don't even know. And your Me Hands, I'm assuming, was ouch, a little bit more.
Ouch. I spent it and then got up and preached about being fiscally responsible the next morning.
Felt convicted?
No, I mean, it's our anniversary, 16-year anniversary. We're gonna swing.
I'm joking, obviously, but the value in that you are fine beef, like we are valuable. That is why we believe God's called us to more. And so if we are not allowing ourselves to spend time in preparation, then we're not valuing who we actually are as people. If we're saying, "Oh, I want to hurry it up," well, fast food doesn't cost very much on purpose. And so, do we value ourselves enough to allow ourselves to sit in the season of preparation? And if not, well, then you're not really confident in who and what you're called to be.
I had the hardest year of my whole life over the last 12 months.
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about it a bunch of times.
This last Sunday was the anniversary of the worst
hardest year.
Of the hardest year ever.
Literally, Rachel and I hugged each other and we were like, "Happy 1 year of the suckiest year of our lives."
but the preparation.
Yeah.
The preparations happened. The strength, the things that I got out of my brain and out of my heart, and the self-awareness that I was able to walk through to become the leader that I am today, to get off the throne, to learn how to rest, to learn how to abide, to stop pushing too hard, all this stuff, to trust God more than I trust me, all these lessons that I've learned over this last year of hell. What if they're just preparation?
Well, and what if the preparation that feels like sitting still is actually the most productive year that we've had? And I think that's where, on the other side of it, I'm looking back and going, I have felt so stuck.
Golly.
I have felt so waiting, felt so still, stuck in this preparation. But when I look back, I'm going, oh my word, this may have actually been the most productive year of our life. Both of us.
Yeah, you just blew my mind.
Well, yeah, that's what God's been speaking to me.
Yeah.
Literally in the last 2 weeks, I've been realizing this may have been the most productive, because you're right. So much heart work, so much mind work, so much intentionality, that all of that God's been trying to do in us and through us for the last 5 years. But what he was able to accomplish in this year of preparation, holy cow, it was actually very productive.
Romans was written from prison.
Right.
Like the crap, because you don't really get on your knees and cry out to God when everything's going fantastic.
Right.
You know why? Because we're kind of spoiled brats as children to God.
Right.
But when it's hard is when you really are able to grow and to hear and to listen.
Yeah.
And I think that this last year I was really able to listen to God. And so he's just been preparing us. No,
I keep thinking about in COVID, that was like the most still season of my life, physically. I had to be stuck in my home. I've never stayed still that much in my entire life. I moved here to Texas from Tulsa, and literally had the last day of my job, the Friday before we moved, then moved here and started a new job, and never stopped. That's just who we are as people.
Well, and you moved out of your parents' house, got married, had a baby in 1 minute.
Yeah, that also happened. Years before that, right?
Your life
since has
been full of speed.
18 years old, I've been running.
Yeah.
And in COVID was one of those times, I know you did it too, that Aaron and I spent so much time cleaning out drawers in our house that we'd never cleaned out before.
Yeah.
Reorganizing entire rooms of our home that we just hadn't had the time to do before. Yeah. And I keep thinking about, COVID actually was super productive for our home, because we got our home in the space. We did some projects that we'd been waiting on. We were able to do all of these things and get ready for what's been after it. And the same is true right now in this season of stuck. It's been God was able to clean some crap out of my heart.
Yeah.
God was able to help reorganize some things in my mind in ways I couldn't have ever, because I just keep running all the time.
So if you find yourself in that position between where you are and where you want to be and you're frustrated, the question that you should be asking is, what is supposed to be happening in your preparation time? Maybe you're not just, I thought I was just waiting. I thought God just told me to wait. But what he really was doing was preparing something. He was building some girders and some foundation. And now it's pillar time.
Yeah.
Like, as I look forward, we've got some big stuff we're working on.
Yeah.
For More Church, which will come out
sometime in the next year.
Yeah. and all of
That's right.
and the foundation that he has poured is now going to allow us to drop some pillars in.
Absolutely.
Of organization.
Because we were able to reorganize, restructure, clean out. Man, it's been painful, but now we're in this like sweet spot. What?
I haven't told you this yet.
What?
I had lunch with a guy yesterday. And dude, he's got a ton of business wisdom. And so he starts talking about the organization that he works in and how it's grown from this to this and how there's been increase.
Right.
And he says that at the beginning years of that business, it was all a house of cards. Like, it was growing. It was getting to next levels. It was expanding. But like, honestly, you pull out a piece and a whole section crumbles.
Right.
And he said it very kind.
Right.
And he said, Pastor, I feel like More Church is a little bit of the same. He was not calling us a house of cards.
No.
He was saying that when he said that as this organization grew, that what he had to do was be aware that there's some things were falling apart, and he had to start inserting pillars into the house of cards.
Yeah.
And I feel like the foundation that God's been pouring in me and in you and in our staff and our spouses is now it's pillar time.
Well, we had to build it so quickly because things grew so quickly, things shifted so quickly that, the paper card is such a great analogy.
Yeah.
That's all that was laying around. That's all we could throw into
so
place.
all we could do is just throw something in.
So it was like, hurry up, get it structure built. And so at least we were building it, but now God's helping us come back around and go, okay, let's put that's so good. It's a great analogy.
Because you just have to get it going. There just has to be movement and advancement. And God was good. We started growing and numbers are coming in and money's going up and all these things. And so we made a couple hires that didn't go how I wanted to and they fell apart, but it was because it wasn't a pillar. It was a house of cards and I just had to get it to the next level. Yeah. And so now.
No, we've already got some pillars established and now we can see where we've got some more places to install them. Yeah. That's going to build a beautiful foundation. That's great.
It was really
That's a great analogy. But something we've been talking about this week as we're talking about all of that is, what do you do when you're leading an organization and new things are coming?
Yep.
New things need to be established. New things need to be pillars formed, all of these things. And when you do that, there's lots of people in play when you're stepping into more, when you're tugging into more. For us, we lead a church. So there are congregants at play. Maybe you're in your home. You just have the people that live in your home at play. There's lots of times where we have to make decisions where those who are at kind of the head, the top, whatever, for lack of better terms than that, they're the ones making the decision. But then we have to get everybody else on board with the decision.
You've got to on-ramp.
You got to get them.
People.
That's right. And so the process of that can be extremely tricky. And we as leaders have learned the right way and the wrong way how to do that. And so we talked about it. Let's talk about it today.
Okay. So let's say that you wanted to buy a new car.
Yes.
Whitney wants to buy a new car. How would Aaron take it if you alone went to the dealership?
It would not go well.
And just bought yourself a brand new, top of the line, off the lot car and just came home and hadn't even brought it up to him?
Oh, that would be the most interesting thing you should ever see. Everyone should video it because it would go viral 100%. He would lose his junk.
As would my wife if I went and bought a brand new truck without processing it with her. Why do I bring that up?
Yeah.
Because we need to bring people along
to the conversation if there's like a major shift that's happening. I have a question.
I'm not going to put my house up for sale without talking to Rachel about it.
Right.
Now I can go and buy Subway sandwich and not talk to Rachel about it because she don't care and it's not that big a deal. But you know, for our anniversary, I bought her a ring. I bought her a
anniversary band.
Yeah. And dude, it was so hard because I had to hide almost $2,000 from her.
Right.
Like moving it around and like, how do I pay for this? And it's a big purchase that I didn't talk to her about at all. And dude was being sneaky and stuff. It's hard. If I can't get in with nothing. I'm not a good criminal.
I was going to say, I don't know how you did,
but I'm saying like, you're spending like that, you have to talk about it.
Right. No, you said Subway sandwich and I was thinking, you know, I think it's something we learn, at least in my house. And I know you are a similar foodie person as me.
What?
What? We're food brats.
Look how skinny I am.
No. Do you ever like really want to go to a certain restaurant and like you have it ahead in your mind? Oh, in fact, this has happened to us. Let's talk about staff lunch. This has happened many times. But if I want to win in my family, I know there are certain restaurants I can be like, hey, Easton, don't you want to go to Malai tonight? Doesn't that sound like a great idea?
Yeah.
Before I bring it to the whole family, I can go to a few of the family.
You get them on board.
And get them on board with my decisions so then I get to go to the restaurant that I want to go to.
Yeah.
Staff lunch the other day, I set a place. Then I had a meeting. Somehow I come out of the meeting and you have gone to Smothers and said, hey, but what about this place? Because we can get other people on board. It can be a big decision or a small decision. If we want people on board, we don't just do it in a big group. Or we're going to end up going to, what's that place in Ricky Lakes? that JJ's Cafe.
No, JJ's not a vibe.
It's not allowed. It's not allowed.
So what we're saying is if you're a leader of anything, there needs to be a appropriate on-ramp to help the organization make the shift.
Right.
You have to get people understanding what's going on.
Right.
If you're getting on the expressway, they have a literal road that's an on-ramp that allows you to build speed. On the side road, you're only going 40. But on the freeway, you have to be going 75.
Yeah.
So there's this long drag strip called an on-ramp that helps you get up to speed. And as leaders, we have to be aware of when and when not to have those on-ramps.
Yeah.
When to help people know what's happening and not put it in too early.
Right.
We don't need to talk about it too early because if we talk about it too early, we get everybody's hopes up and there's no freeway.
Right.
And then y'all just crash and die and everybody thinks you're a bad leader.
Oh, you're right.
And so I've been there.
That's not true.
Well, I know, but we've had some of that.
Yeah.
And so you have to wait for the right time to bring them along.
Yeah. So I think about it. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just have so many thoughts.
Oh, well, we can give you.
Because if we don't on-ramp them well, for us, what would not be good is for me to just get up on a Sunday morning at our primary gathering and make a gigantic announcement about something without telling anybody else first.
Correct.
The goal is to bring key leaders along in the process so that they already understand. Yeah. So their heads are nodding.
Right. Yes. So I remember 7 years ago, you became lead pastor. We were doing our very best to keep things live and afloat and all the things. And one of the big decisions we decided to change quickly was to go from, we were running 3 services and we went back to running 2. This was a strategic decision, but also a smart one because we were not really at a place where we needed 3 services. We barely needed 2. Yeah, we were just looking cool on the internet to have 3, but really, 2 is what we needed.
We had about a 300 seat auditorium.
Yeah.
And we were doing 3 services and there would be 45 people in the first one, 90 in the middle one, and 60.
The other day, I found a picture from one of those 3 services, and there were 22 people in the room.
Yeah, and it was like during the sermon.
Half of those are staff. Yeah,
it was during the sermon. 22 people. So yeah, we went from 3 to 2. Because
my point in this is, this was an obvious decision. Like, it made sense.
Yeah.
But yet, we did not just announce it, like, haphazardly, and we didn't just do it the very next Sunday. We said, okay, when is the right time? Oh, when is a good break? When makes the most sense? And then we had meetings with our staff team and then our leadership team before we decided to do it, so that when we announced it, because inevitably, even though there's only 22 people in the one service, their service time is going to change.
And I like this service time because I go into work earlier or later, and this one works best for me.
And as we know, the most commonly asked question in human history, as you always say, is how does this affect me?
Dude,
and so we knew that in the room, even though they're going to look around and they're going to know that it is smart, because it is a waste of God's resource to be and volunteer time to be having this service for 22 people and 3 kids in the nursery.
Yeah.
But they're going to ask, how does this affect me? And they like it better this way because them and their mom come together and then go to dinner or something. Who knows? What?
Remember when we were doing 3 services and there were these 3 old ladies that would sit in the very back row? Mm-hmm. We would have ropes and all the things, and ushers trying to get them to move
those ropes. They didn't care.
Yeah.
They would. One time, an usher said to them, like, "Hey, we're gonna sit up closer until the ropes, until they fill it up and whatever." And they said, "No, we're gonna sit right here and move the rope, over themselves." I'm like, oh, "Okay, it's like a toddler when you tell them not to put their finger in the light socket."
They gone.
Oh yeah, they don't go here. They didn't like the way.
I said, "Wait, you did what to usher?"
Yeah,
see ya.
We didn't get their heads on at all. But when we talked to our staff about it, it was inevitable. To them, they were like, absolutely, this is what we should do. They were grateful for the decision. But we were also able to strategically give them verbiage to help make it so that those who were upset with how does this affect me, they were able to counteract that. They were able to speak to that in a quick and a concise way that was kind, but also helped them know, hey, we've thought of you too.
Yeah.
And so it was, by the time we announced it, everyone was excited and happy. We did it at this was May. We did it in June for the summer break, which made a whole lot of sense because, that's easy.
Yeah. We called it summer service schedule.
Summer service schedule.
And then we moved back to 2 services for summer and the whole next year.
Exactly.
But
by the time we did that, no one remembered that.
But what we're saying is, before we just made that big shift, we had a lot of conversations.
Right.
One of the biggest moves we ever made was moving from our Matlock building. So that we went to 2, then we started to actually fill 2, then we went to 3, and then we went to 4, and then we had standing room only in 4.
Yeah.
And we were out of space. So we went to our current location, which is a rental.
Yeah.
A big auditorium.
Yeah.
And man, we had so many meetings face to face before we had a Sunday announcement.
Right.
That when I got up and made the Sunday announcement of what was happening, us moving to Willie Pig Auditorium, what percentage of the room do you think already knew?
Oh, man, 70?
Right.
Yeah, 70%.
And because of that, there was wind in the sails.
Absolutely.
Because they already knew.
They stood and cheered.
And they heard the whys.
Right.
And they were able to process, how does this affect me? How is this going to help other people? They were able to all get behind us. And you know what? I don't think we lost. I think we lost more people going to the center for the summer than we lost going from the Matlock to the Pig.
Yeah.
Because this last summer, our school district said that we had to move out of our auditorium and move to another auditorium for the summer.
Yeah.
And we only had 3 weeks prep time.
Right.
And so we had no time to have one-on-one meetings.
Right.
Or like smaller, very few small group meetings. And we just had to make the announcement on a Sunday, and it hurt us.
Yeah.
We lost people.
Yeah. Because we didn't have the time.
Moving just right down the street.
This is what I hear. So I hear somebody say, oh, but I don't have the time to have all of those conversations. Well, when we went to from Matlock to the rental facility, we did that in 6 weeks. So we did not have very much time. Well, COVID also janked us, but from the time we decided to do it and the time we announced doing it, we had 4 weeks.
Right.
And so it's easy to say we didn't have enough time. However, we recognize that those meetings that we strategically had, hey, next Thursday, we'd like to invite you. Here's the thing, even if they can't come because we only gave them a week's notice, at least they know they were invited. Yeah. At least they know we tried to bring them in the conversation. But having 3 strategic meetings before that conversation saved us so much time and energy than as opposed to when we didn't announce it multiple times in multiple places to move to the center. That cost us a different kind of time and energy. So the truth is, it's going to be time, it's going to be energy, it's going to costs you something, but it costs you way less to do all of these things ahead of time than it does to have to clean it up afterward.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I can hear somebody saying, I'll just deal with it as it comes. No, it's a whole lot more work. It's a whole lot more time.
Yeah.
You might not think you have the time, but you do.
Giving people internal processing, giving your leaders, people that what we're talking about is telling your leaders, the important influencers in your organization, giving them time before a major shift helps them process it and then revision cast what you're doing to other people that they're leading.
Well, you know what it does for us as leaders is it helps us see questions we might not have seen.
That's super true.
Like we've already, in some of the things that we're working on right now, had some meetings with our elders and directors and have had questions asked by our elders and directors that we never would have thought of, you and I on our own, because we have a different perspective. We have different thoughts and opinions. We have different family groups, like different ways that life goes. And so not only are they able to walk out with the right words to help the people and all the things, we're able to identify some questions from people we might be surprised by if we wouldn't have had the conversation.
Yeah. No, it's super good.
Yeah.
To pull them in. So what we're saying is whatever you're leading, think through who are the people that you want to on-ramp, that you want to give time about a change. We're talking about like moving buildings and adding services.
Yeah.
But do you know what else it is? If you're a kids pastor and you're about to initiate a new rule for bottles, you know, which bottles do we allow, or diaper changing policy, or like something that might seem smaller. Hey, listen, if somebody has been doing it a certain way for 3 years and you're about to change a policy, don't just change the policy in a meeting that's gonna rattle them. The less we can rattle people. No, our people have been rattled.
Oh, 100%.
The people of Moore Church have been put in a cage and rolled down a hill. We've been rattled, but a lot of the rattling they've experienced is circumstantial, that is outside of our control. Everything that we know that has been coming, we've done our best to on-ramp, to
communicate
people.
And I think that is such a leadership piece that people miss sometimes, because also I hear it from people, well, I didn't want to make them come to another meeting. I didn't want to take up their time and I didn't want to bother them.
Yeah, but the antithesis of that is that then they sit there and hear news and feel unvalued.
Absolutely. If they're coming, so that you use the kids pastor thing, like if they come to a meeting and find out that something that's been their baby, something they've cared about, or maybe you don't even know that they cared about it, but they did. They've been giving their time and energy to serve in your area. Well, then they need to know that stuff before you just announce it in a giant meeting, because then they feel like, well, you didn't care about them at all. And that can be in any space that you're in, any group that you're leading. It's a big deal to even when you're moving from one house to another, talking one-on-one with your kids before you just have a big family announcement meeting, it brings respect and it helps them feel a part of the solution, a part of the decision you're making. When you and I are making decisions for the church, we're the ones making the decision. But when we are bringing them into the conversation, they still feel a part of the decision. Yeah. And people who are bought into the decision are going to be a part way better, more, they're going to own it way better than people who are just told a decision.
Yeah. So for me, there's been times that I have forgotten to tell Rachel a big detail.
Yeah.
You know, and so big detail about something that's shifting or changing or moving, or a staff person transitioning or hiring somebody, or this person's mad and left the church, or like a big detail that I forget to tell Rachel. And what that does, and I'm sure that if you're married, you've done that.
Right, because we're humans, we just forget.
And I hate that I do that to her sometimes.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it puts Rachel at a disadvantage to support me. Mm-hmm. If she doesn't know that someone got fired or whatever,
right.
And then now she's in the lobby talking to that person's friend or somebody they're connected to, and she doesn't know the story, and Rachel's figuring out a change in real time, I have not set her up for success to have my back.
Right.
But how many times do we do that to our whole organization?
Right.
We do that to all of our employees. We do that to all of our church. We do whatever we're leading.
Right.
We do that to our husband and wife because we haven't properly informed them of what's going on.
No, I think it's a big deal. And I think especially in, what we're talking about has been changes or decisions, or another word is transitions.
Yeah.
That when there are times of transition, the more communication you can have, the better. And you and I, there's been times when we've messed that up because we didn't want to communicate maybe bad news. We didn't want to over communicate about things that were sad, and we wanted to keep it as positive as possible. So we didn't communicate it at all. And I think we've learned over the years that even sad communication is better than no communication.
Well, and yeah, you have to, sad communication is better than no communication. Is good. And understanding where the communication needs to happen.
Right.
All communication does not need to happen from the platform.
Correct.
We just had a staff transition from our next gen department.
Yeah.
And that transition we talked through with our kids workers, our youth workers, our kids, and our teenagers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But we did not talk through it from the stage on Sunday.
Correct.
And I had a parent yesterday tell me that they were frustrated that they didn't know. And I'm like, I get it, but but you're not really engaged, like in this department or in this area,
right?
And so we did communicate this. We did. Here's all the places that we talked about it, and so
also that was, for that transition, it was a positive transition. It was not a negative. Nothing negative happened. It was just them moving on to something else that God called them to, and so.
But I'm saying you can't feel like you have to cover every base and get every head nodding, or else all you are is an announcement machine.
Right. But if you've done your due diligence, then you're able to point to.
I said, no, man, we had a leader meeting.
We had this conversation. We had these things. And so then if people feel frustrated or blindsided, they recognize, oh, no, maybe it's really just that I wasn't a part of it.
And it was in the email.
Yeah.
The announcement was in a all church email.
Yeah.
And so it helps to say, well, hey, man, no, it's not that we didn't talk about it.
Right.
It's that you just didn't see the 5 places we did.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I think what you said is so good. So you said a minute ago about getting the heads nodding. When you talked about Rachel, that is another form of head nodding, is having your back. And so like as a leader, as someone who's stepping into more, pushing into more sometimes, or pulling others into more, there's a lot of times that we're going to ruffle feathers just because change is like the thing people fear the most. And if you can have, the more people you can have your back in the times of transition, change, shifting, the better it is for everyone. It feels like, oh, I want them to have my back for me.
Yeah.
But it's not really for me. It's for the organization. It's for the structure. It's for the people that we care about. We want you want Rachel to have your back when it comes to a transition in the next gen department, but it's not for you specifically. It's for the next gen department. It's for the kids. It's for the people. And so
the more aware she is,
the
better that she can help everybody understand.
Right. And so so soon, I mean, we've done this before and we will do it again. We will do it all the time over the church history that as we lead it is there will be conversations with different key leaders and different team leaders as we're making changes and shifting things, because our goal is for them to have the back of the organization.
So who are the people that you need to talk to?
So who do you talk to the most in a week is a good question as a leader to ask.
Okay.
So for us, our next step would be, well, you and I, we have our staff team. But we also have a leadership team among our staff that help us, a directional leadership team that help us with directional things for the church. So that's our next step. Once you and I have come to a decision, you've made a decision, we've made a decision, whatever that is, that's who we go to next to help us in how we're going to execute the decision. Then our staff is going to know very quickly after that, the entire staff. Anyone who is a paid person who comes to our staff meeting we're going to make sure that they know this is another important piece of the head nodding. I'm going to make sure that they know before someone else that is not in leadership knows.
Yeah.
Because if this person finds out sooner than someone on our staff team, our staff team is going to feel very devalued.
Yeah.
Now that's not my husband. That's not like,
no.
but random somebody. You're not going to go tell somebody at lunch.
Then from there, key leaders.
Key people, yeah. People who are a part of executing vision and serving or leading in areas, they've got to know next.
Those would be called influencers.
Yes.
People who have influence.
Yeah.
I think that there's also, you bring along, maybe it's like a ministry team leader or a department head or whatever, but sometimes there's just people in your church that they might not do a lot, but they have influence.
Yeah. Correct.
And bring them along, let them know.
There's an important piece to it that we have learned also is in these conversations, we have to be open for feedback. There have been times where pushback. Yeah. That's what I think that exactly. Because there have been times where we have gone in and given information, but not allowed space for pushback, communication, conversation, concern, care.
Yeah.
We've got to be willing to receive that. And it's an important piece because what we tell our team is we can fight it out in this room. But once we walk out of this room, we're going to be unified.
Yeah.
But if we don't give space for the fight it out, then holding that unity when other people start pushing back is going to be very difficult it's a very difficult ask of people to say, hey, here's a decision we're making. I'm not giving you any say, feedback, thoughts, or whatever in it, but now hold the line and have my back when you walk out of the room.
The wrestling is good.
Because
the wrestling with people that you're leading, it helps them understand why you've made the decision you've made. It lets them actually have buy-in.
Yeah. There have been seasons where we've been more fearful of the wrestling just because, this is years ago, but we were like, we just want them to be on board with it. We just want them to get excited about it. And we were, maybe it was, I don't even know why, maybe just lack of trust, maybe lack of our own confidence to allow that. But the more confident we become as leaders, the more we're willing to sit and wrestle. And the better it has been, hands down, for the organization to allow the wrestling. Because what you just said, we give them perspective they wouldn't have thought of, and they give us perspective we wouldn't have thought of. And so then in unity, we can step forward, and then we collectively have each other's back.
Well, and it allows the people that we're leading to even say, well, hey, I went to a meeting. So you make the announcement on stage, and from the stage, you're not maybe going to say everything that you said behind a closed door, but those people that are with you are able to say, hey, we talked to Pastor Truston or Pastor Whitney about this. We had an hour-long meeting. He showed us every number. He showed us the graphs. He showed us the thing.
I asked 7 questions.
And you know what? I thought what you're thinking right now, but what he said was this. And after an hour, 2-hour meeting, man, it's the right step. And what happens is then it helps galvanize somebody else's trust.
Absolutely.
Because that leader trusts their leader.
Absolutely.
And so we've had those vision drip meetings in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
You can have 100 people in the room.
Right.
Or you can have a one-on-one.
Yeah.
You can do a dinner with a family.
Right.
Or you can do dinner with 7 families.
Right.
And so we've got big stuff that we're working on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big stuff. And it will be, if it all comes out how it's looking, it's going to be the biggest shift that we've ever made.
Right. For sure.
Which is saying a lot.
Just saying a lot because we made a lot. What did you say? We rattled around.
We put them in a cage and rolled them down the hill.
We put them in a cage and rattled them around a lot. But
it's going to be the biggest shift that we've made.
But yet maybe the most galvanizing as well.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the most galvanizing.
And so I'm, as a leader, preparing.
Right.
And I talked with Rachel about it.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Yeah.
It's about to be dinner time.
Yeah.
We're about to have dinners and breakfasts and coffees and lunches because we're going to have to help. This is what it is. We have to help people process the new information. It's not trick them. No. It's not manipulate them or talk them into it. No. It's help them process.
Correct.
So right now we're at the Pig.
Right.
And it's obvious that at this rental facility, we're not going to be there forever.
No,
it's obvious. But there's a guy that I met who lives in the neighborhood right across the street.
Right.
And he started coming because he would go for a jog in the morning and see us out there. And now he just walks over and comes to church.
Right.
Whenever we leave the pig,
Right.
that guy is going to need somebody to have a talk with him.
To process
and
that
to say,
he's not going to get to walk to church
and
anymore.
say, hey, man, we know that you've never driven to church.
Right.
But like, it's probably worth the drive.
Absolutely.
I mean, you go to the grocery store to buy food, it's probably worth driving. Now, this is a smart, educated man. He's not a dummy, but sometimes people still have to process, oh, they left me. No. We didn't leave you.
Right.
We're inviting you along.
Correct. Invite them along. It's really great.
Invite them along.
Okay, but how do you decide if it's a one-on-one, if it's a big group, if it's 50 people? How do you decide what the dinner is? How do you decide?
You have to do a draft. You have to, the draft. I'm not like a sports guy, but a draft, they have like all the names of all the players and they pick and who's on what team and all the things. I think that you have to look at you build a list of your most influential people, right? Mm-hmm. So for this big move, we're going to end up probably having 300 people.
For sure.
For sure. Okay, maybe more. 300 people that have to be on-ramped. Then from there, we look at it and we say, okay, who can be in a big group? Mm-hmm. Who historically is going to have a lot of questions? Mm-hmm. Like I know that we've got some directors that we're going to need to give more information to than we're going to need to give to other people. And how much are they affected by the change?
Great question.
If we're making a rule that says you're only allowed to wear red on Sundays, you're only allowed to wear red.
Yes.
You have to wear red clothes, all red clothes on Sundays. That's going to be a way easier conversation with someone who always wears orange than someone who wears blue all the time.
No, it's true.
I'm saying, some people, the announcement that you're going to make are going to love it.
Right.
They're going to be excited. Their life's going to be easier by it.
I would be pumped that red was the color because that's my color.
But some people that are naturally blue, is there a better illustration than that?
No, it's
all
good.
I have are proximity illustrations.
No, it's good, but also because it makes me think the other part, and some are going to need more care in it because you and Aaron are colorblind. Mm-hmm. And so if we made the decision that red is like the color, you're going to have help knowing what's red.
Help me. I'm in pink. Help me.
And like, so depending on, I think it's a great analogy. Depending on what the decision is, some people are not going to understand it at all. They're going to need some real intentional care and understanding. They're going to need pastoring.
Yeah. Here's a good one. So we had all of our elementary age kids in a room together in one service.
Yeah.
And then we divided that into two groups of younger and older, 4th, 5th, and 6th, and third.
K through 3rd.
K through 3rd. And when we made that shift, we had to talk to parents differently. Mm-hmm. Because some parents have a very mature 4-year-old or 4th grader.
4th grader.
Very mature 4th grader.
Right.
That's an easier conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy. They're like, yeah, dude, my 4th grader, is
they
doing
think what you do in that with the 2nd graders is lame.
Yeah, this is going to be great. I love it. But then you've got those parents that are like the hover helicopter parents that think their 4th grader is my little baby.
Right.
And so, hey, we're going to take your 4th grader out of this room and in this other room, and it's more like youthy style, and it's more teaching, and it's more life group, and it's more this. There's not as many puppets,
Right.
Then you have to understand, okay, well, this parent really thinks that their kid is more this way. Mm-hmm. So they're going to need more room. It's easier, and it's easier to get the mom who has 5 kids.
Right.
The mom who has 5 kids and this is her last baby, she don't care. Put them in the older class.
Right.
She don't care.
She's like, suck it up, buttercup.
But that newborn mom, that newborn is her first baby, it's her only baby. You better
take care of it.
Better have a lunch.
Right. It's really good. No, I think that's important. Is just determining who they are, what the information is, who they are. When we did our very first giving campaign ever, we met with some of our top givers. You met with them one-on-one.
I had 100.
Yeah.
I had 100 one-on-one meetings walking through a booklet.
And it was it was the first time we'd ever done that as a church. And so because of that, it was strategic and it was intentional. Now, when we do a giving campaign, you won't have all these one-on-ones.
I don't have to do 100.
You won't do that many. You might have some with some like top givers or some people that are more specific and intentional, or maybe just because you want to have that one-on-one connection and be able to say, hey, here's what I need in this season. Here, can you come alongside us? But you'll be able to have a more what we would call a kingdom builders like dinner, and cast the vision to that group together in a collective way. Why? We've already done it before. We've already shown what we're faithful to give to when they're giving to the house, they're giving through this to other missionaries, other people, other places. And so it's also, what is the information that you're giving? Like, we have to level and balance the weight of it. Have you ever done anything like this before?
Yeah.
Like you said, our people are used to being rattled. And so even in these conversations we're having, there's a few one-on-ones that will be necessary. But collectively, if we bring our leadership team along, they've already been rattled, so they're not going to be surprised by, hey, we're going to rattle some things.
We've moved buildings so much that when we move buildings next, everyone's going to go, oh yeah,
that's a great example.
But if you're at a church that's been in the same building for 48 years,
correct, that's going to take one-on-one intentionality with a whole bunch of people.
You're about to do some work.
Yeah, and so you got to look at what is the information, how big is the information. How big is my organization to what it looks like?
Ripping off the Band-Aid is only good for Band-Aids.
Right.
Like,
it still hurts.
Yeah, it still hurts, but it's only good for Band-Aids. Everything else, take it a little easy, take it slow, have the conversation.
Oh, it's really good.
That's good. What else? We end so abruptly sometimes.
Well, because we're kind of like, well, that's all we have to say about
You got a New York sweater on.
Yeah. We're going to New York.
Did you go to NYU State University? Yeah, just like Aaron in that Harvard hat.
Good for you. But maybe I look like I did. So no, it's just white and comfortable.
There it is.
That's all it is.
All right, I've got a 1:00.
Okay, love you guys.
See ya.
See you later.